I wasn't born broken, I became broken trying to be perfect. That sentence still feels like swallowing glass, because for most of my life I would have denied it with a polite smile. I would have said, "Oh, it wasn't that bad." I would have laughed it off. I would have changed the subject and asked about you instead. That's what perfect women do. We smooth things over. We make it comfortable. We make it easier for everyone else to breathe, even when we're the ones quietly suffocating. I'm telling you this now from the kind of quiet that only comes when the house stops needing you. The kids are grown. The calendar is empty in places it used to be full. The phone rings less. The mirror shows a face that has been brave in all the wrong ways. My hands don't always do what my mind tells them, but my mind remembers. It remembers the years like chapters in a book I didn't even realize I was writing until I reached the ending. 55 years. That's longer than some people are given on this earth, and I spent those years chasing an idea I didn't invent. I chased it the way you chase a horizon, always moving, never arriving. I chased it in my posture, my weight, my tone of voice, my hair, my home, my marriage, my motherhood, my friendships. I chased it in the way I arranged my face into expressions that made other people comfortable. I chased it in the way I apologized for things that weren't my fault. I chased it in the way I trained my own needs to become invisible. If you're listening right now and you still have time to choose differently, please hear me. This isn't a story about ambition. This isn't a story about self-improvement. This is a story about fear dressed up as virtue. It's about how a woman can be praised into disappearing. It starts so innocently. When you're a girl, people don't tell you, erase yourself. They tell you, be sweet. They tell you, be nice. They tell you, don't be difficult. They tell you, you're so mature for your age, and you don't realize that what they really mean is you're convenient. You don't require too much. You don't make the adults uncomfortable. You learn that silence can earn you love. You learn that being low maintenance makes you valuable. You learn that being agreeable makes you safe, and once you learn that, you start doing it everywhere. At school, I learned to be the good student, the one who never caused trouble, the one who could be trusted, the one teachers smiled at because I made their day easier. At home, I learned to be the good daughter, the one who didn't add stress, the one who helped without being asked, the one who kept her opinions soft and her feelings smaller. If I was upset, I handled it alone. If something hurt me, I swallowed it. If I needed help, I felt guilty for needing it. That guilt became my shadow. I didn't notice it at first because everyone around me rewarded it. Compliments are powerful. Praise is addictive. Approval is a kind of currency. And I learned to earn it the way some people learn to earn money, by working harder, by giving more, by never letting anyone see the cost. There is a special kind of trap in being called the perfect woman. Because it sounds like honor. It sounds like achievement. It sounds like you've won something, but the prize is a cage. When I married, I thought I was stepping into my life. I didn't realize I was stepping onto a stage. I didn't realize that from that day forward, I would measure my worth by how well I performed the role. Wife, mother, hostess, helper, peacemaker, problem solver, keeper of birthdays, keeper of secrets, keeper of everyone's emotional balance. I became the woman who could handle it, and at first, that felt good. Being needed feels like love when you don't know any better. Being relied on feels like security. People looked at my life and said things like, "You have it all together." They didn't see the way I lay awake at night rehearsing conversations in my head, trying to predict every possible misunderstanding so I could prevent conflict before it happened. They didn't see the way my chest tightened when someone's mood shifted, like my body believed I had to fix it or something terrible would happen. They didn't see the way I kept a smile ready the way other people keep keys, always in my hand, always prepared. Because I was so good at hiding. That's one of the dangers of perfection. It turns you into someone who can suffer beautifully. You learn to look fine when you're not fine. You learn to say, "It's okay," when it isn't. You learn to make your pain quiet so it doesn't inconvenience anyone else. And then, years pass. Not because you choose it, but because you don't stop it. One day becomes a week. A week becomes a year becomes a decade, and you tell yourself you'll rest later. You'll speak up later. You'll do what you want later. You'll take care of yourself later. Later becomes never. Perfection doesn't arrive with trumpets. It arrives with tiny compromises you barely notice. You stop wearing the dress you love because someone once made a comment. You stop talking about your dreams because they aren't practical. You stop asking for affection the way you need it because you don't want to seem needy. You stop saying no because you don't want to disappoint anyone. You stop complaining because you don't want to be that woman. You stop crying because you don't want to be dramatic. You stop wanting because wanting feels dangerous. And the most tragic part? People get used to it. They get used to the version of you that always adjusts, the version of you that always gives, the version of you that always forgives, the version of you that makes everything easier. And once people get used to that, they stop seeing you as a person. They start seeing you as a service, a role, a function. I used to believe that if I did everything right, I would be protected. That's what perfection promises. If you're good enough, pretty enough, patient enough, helpful enough, forgiving enough, nothing will fall apart. People will stay, love will stay, gratitude will stay, you will be safe. But life doesn't keep those bargains, because perfection doesn't make other people kinder. It doesn't make them more loyal, it doesn't make them love you deeper. Sometimes it just makes them more comfortable taking from you, because you've taught them you can handle it. And you can, until you can't. I didn't know I was burning out because I thought exhaustion was normal. I thought every woman felt this way. I thought being tired meant you were doing it right. I thought crying in the shower was just part of adulthood. I thought resentment was something you swallowed like medicine, bitter but necessary. Nobody sat me down and said, "You're allowed to take up space." So I didn't. I became fluent in the language of other people's needs and illiterate in my own. I could tell you what everyone in my house wanted before they even asked. I could sense moods the way some people sense storms coming. I could anticipate disappointments and patch them before anyone else noticed. I became so skilled at managing everyone else's emotions that my own feelings started to feel like inconveniences. Messy, embarrassing, unnecessary. And then, one day, I looked around at my perfect life and realized something that made my stomach drop. I didn't know who I was when no one needed me. That's the moment I want to hand to you like a warning sign. Because if you're chasing perfection right now, if you're living your life as a constant audition for love, this is where it leads. A life that looks beautiful on the outside and feels hollow on the inside. A life where you're applauded for your strength while quietly grieving your own disappearance. So before I tell you exactly where it began for me, the first lesson, the first wound, the first time I learned to trade authenticity for approval, I need you to hold on to this truth. Trying to be the perfect woman isn't noble, it's expensive, and the currency it costs you is your life.